Welcome to another episode in our series exploring the intricate legacies of Africa's most influential dictators. In today's episode, the spotlight turns to Equatorial Guinea and the reign of the Nguema family, a dynasty that has dominated the country's political landscape for decades. At the helm is Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mabosoko, one of the world's current longest-serving heads of state. With a family history deeply rooted in power even before Obiang's leadership, the Nguemas have left an indelible mark on the nation. Join us as we peel back the layers of their prolonged rule, exploring the tactics that have kept them in power for so long, and the impact their dynasty has had on Equatorial Guinea. Long before Equatorial Guinea gained independence from Spain and was still known as Spanish Guinea, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mabosoko was born in the town of Akoyahan on June 5, 1942. He hails from the Esangui clan, a subset of the Fang ethnic group, which was the largest group in Spanish Guinea at the time. In his early childhood, Obiang decided to pursue a military education in Spain, attending the Zaragoza Military Academy from 1963 to 1965. In 1964, Spain initiated a decolonization process, allowing greater political participation for Equatorial Guineans. Obiang's uncle, Macías Nguema, founded the Movimiento Nacional de Liberación de Guinea Equatorial, or Monalij, and emerged as a prominent political figure. In September 1968, Equatorial Guinea held its first parliamentary elections. Macías Nguema's party won a majority of seats in the National Assembly, and he was subsequently appointed the first Prime Minister of autonomous Equatorial Guinea. When Equatorial Guinea later gained independence from Spain in 1968, the country adopted a presidential system and held presidential elections concurrently with the parliamentary elections. Macías won the presidential election with approximately 60% of the vote. After becoming president, he quickly consolidated his power by banning all political parties except Monalij, establishing a one-party state. He systematically eliminated opposition, purged the civil service of rivals, and established a cult of personality, leading to a brutal dictatorship. This was merely the beginning of the Nguema family dominance in the nation, as Obiang was set to join in on the affairs soon enough. During his uncle's rule, Obiang played a significant role in the nation's military and government. He held positions such as military governor of the island of Fernando Po, director of the infamous Playa Negra prison, and deputy minister of defense. Obiang's proximity to power was further emphasized by his role as second-in-command to his uncle from 1975 onward, having earned the rank of lieutenant colonel by then. Macías's rule continued in extreme brutality and horrific human rights abuses, some of which Obiang was complicit in. However, in 1979, Macías ordered the execution of several military officers, including Obiang's brother, on suspicion of plotting against him. This act appears to have been a turning point for Obiang, who then began planning with other family members and military officers to overthrow the president. The coup, later known as the Coup for Freedom, took place on August 3, 1979. Obiang and his co-conspirators successfully unseated Macías Nguema, ending his brutal 11-year rule. Macías Nguema was put on trial in September 1979 and found guilty of genocide and other crimes, including the deaths of an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 people during his rule. He was sentenced to death and executed shortly thereafter. Obiang, who played a central role in ending his uncle's brutal regime, subsequently became the country's new leader. But did Obiang's rule turn out any different? There appeared to be a glimmer of hope in the country with Teodoro Obiang's rise to power in 1979, after he overthrew his uncle. However, this hope quickly faded, as Obiang ruled the country like his own private kingdom, with his family firmly in control. He established the Democratic Party of Equatorial Guinea, or PDGE, and maintained an iron grip on power, being the sole legal party until 1991. Even after the introduction of multi-party politics, their dominance remained unchallenged. Despite widespread accusations of fraud, Obiang's unopposed re-election in 1989 and subsequent wins in 1996, 2002, and 2009 solidified his hold on power. In 2011, constitutional amendments further strengthened Obiang's position by removing age limits and implementing a two-term restriction that didn't apply to his previous terms. The role of vice president, abolished in 1982, was brought back in 2012 with the addition of a second vice president. Obiang appointed his eldest son Teodoran to this new position, putting him in charge of defense and security. Obiang continued his rule with re-elections in 2016 and 2022, securing over 90% of the vote each time, amid reports of irregularities and intimidation, casting doubt on the credibility of the electoral process. Obiang's dominance continued to surge, and the only time that a rare moment of vulnerability in Obiang's otherwise unchallenged rule came in the year 2004. This came in the form of a coup, often referred to as the Wonga coup, which involved a web of foreign mercenaries, millions of dollars, and a plan to replace Obiang with exiled opposition leader Severo Moto. Dozens of individuals conspired to orchestrate this elaborate scheme. However, the plot was expertly thwarted by collaborative efforts of officials from multiple African countries, ensuring that the plan never materialized. While Obiang's lengthy rule in Equatorial Guinea has been marked by dominance, it has also witnessed a gradual shift towards democratic reform and modernization. Demonstrating his commitment to inclusivity, Obiang appointed civilian members to the Supreme Military Council in 1981, taking a significant step towards a more diverse and representative government. President Obiang's dedication to democratic principles was further solidified in 1991 when he oversaw the promulgation of another constitution, this time introducing multi-party politics into the country. This move opened the doors to a more diverse and competitive political landscape, providing the people of Equatorial Guinea with a broader range of choices and voices in their democratic process. Additionally, in a commendable display of philanthropy, he sponsored the establishment of the UNESCO Obiang Nguema Mabosoko International Prize for Research in the Life Sciences in 2008, endowing it with a generous $3 million contribution. However, there are many issues plaguing the country under Obiang's rule, casting a shadow over its potential for prosperity and development. Corruption, poverty, and repression remain prevalent, despite the country's substantial oil and gas wealth. The United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP, ranked Equatorial Guinea 144th out of 189 countries in its 2019 Human Development Report, highlighting struggles with poverty and inequality. More than half of the population lacks access to clean water, with 26% relying on unimproved drinking water sources and only 66% having access to basic sanitation services. Healthcare is also a major concern, with diseases like malaria and HIV/AIDS posing persistent threats. Despite being the third richest country in sub-Saharan Africa by per capita income, this wealth is concentrated among a few. The discovery of fossil fuel deposits in the 1990s could have boosted the economy, but rampant embezzlement has led to widespread poverty. Vast oil reserves primarily benefit a small elite circle around the president, while much of the population remains impoverished. In a country where about 75% of the population lives below the poverty threshold, President Obiang, with an estimated net worth of around $600 million, stands as one of the richest heads of state in the world. The Obiang family owns numerous luxury properties globally, including a $30 million estate in Malibu, California, and a $2.6 million mansion in Cape Town, South Africa. They are known for their love of private jets and yachts, spending $43 million on 2 private jets in 2006. In 2009, Teodorin Obiang made headlines by spending $275,000 on a glove worn by Michael Jackson and other memorabilia at an auction in New York. This purchase sparked outrage among Equatorial Guineans, many of whom live in poverty. The blatant corruption and embezzlement of funds by the ruling elite have not gone unnoticed by the international community. In 2011, the US Justice Department seized a Malibu mansion, a private plane, and luxury cars, purchased with laundered funds by Obiang's son, Teodorin. Teodorin ended up surrendering nearly $30 million in assets as part of a settlement. He has been in hot water for his shady dealings, being convicted in France for embezzlement and money laundering. He also settled cases with the United States and Switzerland, which led to more of his assets being confiscated. Swiss prosecutors seized 11 of his luxury cars in 2016, and in 2021, France seized $170 million worth of his assets, including a 101-room mansion in Paris. Regarding human rights under Obiang's reign, there's much to discuss. The president has a notorious track record of violating human rights, brutally quashing dissent, and limiting personal freedoms. Under his regime, opposition members face harassment, unlawful arrests, forced disappearances, and torture. The 1991 constitution removed human rights safeguards and provided Obiang with immunity from prosecution, potentially enabling presidents to commit crimes under the guise of official duties. Recent reports highlight extrajudicial killings, torture, arbitrary arrests, police imprisonment, and widespread corruption within the government. While Obiang has occasionally announced reforms, such as a political amnesty in 2014, these gestures have been superficial, with many political opponents remaining imprisoned and dialogues denounced as public relations exercises. Today, 82-year-old Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mabasogho remains the longtime president of Equatorial Guinea, having held power for 45 years. His 56-year-old son Teodorin, who has been the first vice president since 2016, appears to be positioned for succession. Despite controversies surrounding him, Teodorin remains a formidable figure, poised to inherit his father's position, suggesting that the Nguema family plans to retain control for the foreseeable future. Explore Africa's hidden narratives and untold stories by subscribing to our channel. Join a community passionate about understanding, engaging with, and appreciating Africa. Hit subscribe, embrace the unknown, and join us in reshaping perspectives.